obviously he's missing his other arm, so we'll take his arm. And right now the pivot is at the origin. If not, you can go ahead and group that, or you can move the pivot. And then I'll just go ahead and duplicate it, Control D. Let's scale it across the x-axis and freeze those transformations. And then we can go ahead into the attributes, go into the render stats, and I want to turn off this opposite setting, and then I want to also go ahead and reverse the normals. Let's do the same thing over here. So I'll just hit that boot and hit the up arrow to go to the top level. Go ahead and duplicate it. And first I want to regroup it so that the origin is at the center. We'll go ahead and duplicate it, mirror it over, and we'll do the same thing here. Alright, so we want to go through this same process. We want to turn off that opposite setting and reverse the normals. And then here we want to go in to our surfaces and reverse the surface direction for those NURBS objects. We'll do the same thing here. Alright, and I think we want to also do it for the sock. Now if you see anything with the translation values or rotational values, let's go ahead and freeze those. Let's again group this, duplicate it, move it over and freeze it. Okay, and then again, go ahead and set that value, and let's reverse our normals. Alright. We also need to do the eyes. So I'll get that eye group, and I want to group it one more time and duplicate it, send it over to the other side and freeze the transformations, which will allow us to come in now and set that as opposite, and we'll go into our surfaces and reverse the surface direction. Let's go ahead and hide that. We'll do the same thing here. And there we can do the same thing. It's not really going to make much visual difference. And then we'll go ahead and show the last hidden. Now I want to select everything. Now let's go ahead and delete any history that might be on that stuff. And let's also go ahead and freeze our transformations. Check for anything else that we need to tweak as far as the normals. Now what I want to do is set up a nice clean file so that we can hand this off, and it's just a good way of organizing things. Now you should probably do this as you're going along the process. You build something and then name it, and you can do that over here. Sometimes you can build, go through the process of building the entire shoe and then go back and name everything in the shoe and set up the hierarchy that way. If you have a complex character, you probably don't want to wait until the end to do all of the naming and all of the hierarchy, but I want to compress this into one lesson. So we'll talk about it here. So what we can do to access our hierarchy is, I like to use the outliner to do that, so we'll go ahead and under Window open that up. You can see we have a lot of stuff with very generic names. Polysurface and NURB sphere and group. Things that don't really mean anything. Probably don't even mean anything to us, even though we built the thing. Okay, think about what if you've passed this off to someone and they go in and look at it. It's really going to mean nothing to them, and they're going to really have to struggle and waste time to find what it is they're looking for as they try to rig this guy. And the generic names aren't going to work too well either. So first, I'm going to go through and delete any empty groups that appear to be here. So anything that doesn't have this plus by it, I'm going to go ahead and delete it. So group 3, group 4, this polysurface, I'm going to get rid of any of those. The next thing I'll do is select any of the major pieces. So the pants here, I'm going to go ahead and start to name these. And the naming convention is really up to you, but what I like to do is start with a top level and then kind of use a naming convention that makes sense. So I pictured this guy as kind of a singer. I don't know why, but in my mind, that's what I see him as. And so I'm going to call him singer. And then I'm going to do an underscore, and these are his pants. So this is the top level, and this is the object, the current object that we have. Okay, I'll select this one, and I'll call this singer shirt. All right. Now for objects that contain multiple pieces, I'll go ahead and select, for instance, all 3 pieces of the tie, which include 2 NURBS pieces, and a polygon piece. Okay, let's go ahead and Control G to group those together, and let's name the group. So we'll call this Singer Tie. Now let's select the tie, and I'm going to center the pivot, and let's select, I'll Control select the pants and the shirt, and let's group those together. So now we've got nested groups with the Singer tie, pants, and shirt, and I'll call this group 13 just Singer. So this is going to be our top level. So now what we want to do is go through and name these things. So you can see here I've got something sort of buried underneath with both of these. So I'm going to select both of these, hit Shift P to drop them out of that node, and now we're left with our two arms. So I can call this Singer arm, and then I'll do an underscore, and it depends on how you want to write this, type this out, but I'm just going to do LF for left, and then Singer arm right, and we can select both of those, middle mouse drag those into Singer. Okay, for the head, you can see that because of the extraction we did with the hair, these are again inside this node. So go ahead and kick those out, and then I'll call this Singer hair and Singer head, and we'll go ahead and drop these into our Singer group. Alright, now we've also, if you want to turn off the visibility on this, on the Singer, then we know exactly what's left. So we can now select our undershirt. We can call this Singer undershirt. We can drop this under our Singer. We can select all of these buttons. We can either group them or combine them. We'll just group them and call those Singer button. We'll drag that under here, just kind of organizing things. Now we can select the eye. Now that we've grouped it twice, so I'm going to drop that initial group out of there, and this is the group that we want to use. We can kind of rotate around, and we'll call this Singer eye left. We'll drop it underneath here, and then this one will do the same thing. I'll just grab this and actually just drag it underneath Singer. We'll call that Singer eye right, and we'll delete that group. Now we can come in here and group this together. So I'm going to go ahead and group the gums and these teeth together. So it looks like it already is grouped, so I'll just call this Singer mouth lower. Drop that under. We'll call this one Singer mouth upper. Again, if you see something with transformations, we'll go ahead and freeze those. Bring that down. Same thing with lower. Freeze those transformations. The tongue, Singer tongue. Go ahead and bring that down. Now the shoes are what we have left, and the socks. So I'm actually going to put the socks in with the shoes, I think. And so here's going to be our top level shoe. Let's go ahead and grab that sock, pull it under there, and then we've got that all together. We can get rid of that group. Let's go ahead and select this one, and we'll drop it underneath there. Get rid of that group. And we'll call this Singer shoe underscore right, and Singer shoe left. Let's go ahead and freeze our transformations on those, and we'll drop them into our Singer group. Alright, we can go ahead and show now our Singer group. And now what we want to do is go in and start to name everything inside here. So we've got, let's say, Singer buttons. We can name each of these buttons. And so you could do it one by one. You could say Singer button. And when it's something where it's just a list of identical things, you can just use an A or a 1, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. You can also select all of these. And let's come up here and go rename the top of our Maya interface. And we'll do Singer button and then do an underscore and enter, and it'll just number those. So you want to just go in and organize everything that way. And one other thing that you do want to create that we didn't would be the eyebrows. And so one of the things we can do is just go in and create a cube go ahead and bring it up here. You can create these when you create your hair for your other characters. Think about things like the eyebrows. Our character is pretty simple, so we're not going to do any sort of eyelashes. But I'll go ahead and just create a simple shape here. And let's use our insert edge loop tool. We'll insert some multiple edge loops as we come in here to do this. Alright, and we can come in and just kind of scale this down. I just want to kind of push it into the head. So sort of right in there. And you can use your images as a guide. So he does have his eyebrows on there. So we can kind of use that as a guide to come in and create those. And they're a little bit hard to see, but I think it's going to kind of come down here, and then this is going to kind of come up. And again, it's going to be a real simple bit of geometry that you're going to actually smooth after the fact. And so, just something like that. I can insert an edge loop here to kind of tighten it up, and remember to change that setting back whenever you add that multiple edge loop setting. You can sort of change that back. If you want to create more of kind of an arched look, you can do that and then have it come back along. That's pretty thick, so I'm going to push it back into the head a little bit more. And then when you've got the eyebrows the way that you want them, again, all you have to do is duplicate those over to the other side. So group them, duplicate it, scale it over, freeze the transformations. Let's go ahead and change our, grab the initial one and we'll go to the render stats, turn off opposite, to turn off double-sided first, and then reverse our normals. And instead of grouping, you could even select both of these and combine them into one shape. Delete our history. And then inside your outliner, you've got that single shape. Singer, eyebrows, pop it into your hierarchy. Now for the overall piece, you can see since we built him up on the grid, when we created that group, the center is now right where we want it, so that if we have to, we can kind of scale it up and down from his feet, and it makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so that is how we can create basic characters. Some of the ways that we can do it, from box modeling to using NURBS to using more of an edge flow or an edge loop based modeling. And so hopefully you can get some of those workflows working for you, and you can kind of figure out which ones work best for you. Not everybody works the same way, so I want to try to get you kind of exposed and working with those right off the bat. And again, as I said, the idea is not just really to build this guy, it's really just to use this as a tool to learn the techniques for building your own characters. So building hands and building faces and ears, they're obviously going to all look different, and hopefully these techniques will help you to build your own characters as you go through that process and proceed through that process of learning modeling. So hope you've enjoyed the last few hours building the character and talking just about some character concepts here in Maya. We'll see you next time.